Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast tactical video. We continue to look at Codex Eldar Craftworlds. This is video number 2 of the tactical series, and today we talk about the role and use of the humble Eldar Farseer. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast tactical video. Today we're looking at the role and use of the Eldar Craftworld Farseer. They're the psychers of the Craftworld army, well, the main seers of the Craftworld army. And of course, the first video was on the Autarch. Now we're looking at the Farseer, which is another, the second of the generic HQ choices for the Eldar army. Now this video, of course, is in 2 parts. The first part discusses the Farseer and his role and use within a Craftworld army. And then the second part touches more on the use of a Farseer as an ally, mainly to their Dark Eldar kin, so within like an allied detachment or a secondary CAD or a formation. So let's begin, shall we? The Farseers that guide each Craftworld are perhaps the most powerful of all psychers, for by leading the Eldar along the paths of fate, they can bring salvation or doom to entire races. They are masters of prediction, and even in battle they perform their subtle art, casting up their wraithbone runes and interpreting changes in the glowing icons as they circle in the air. Runes of witnessing allow them to follow subtle traceries of cause and effect, whilst runes of warding, when used in conjunction with elaborate ghost helms, guard them against the dread intrusions of Slaanesh and his dark brethren. So equipped, Farseers can uncover the enemy's intentions, calculate the effects of his clumsy attacks, and steer him to his doom. Farseers fight with a grace that makes the enemy seem dull and slow, flowing around blasts of fire without breaking stride. All the while they shape the future, ending a vital life with a thrust of the Witchblade, guiding an ally to a miraculous escape, or coordinating a sudden attack that breaks the enemy's will. And that is the Farseer. Now they start off at 100 points, but what you get for that is really good. So Farseer has ballistic skill and weapon skill 5, so is a little bit less than an Autarch. He has strength and toughness 3 unless he's on a jet bike and he becomes a Farseer Skyrunner. Then he's toughness 4, 3 wounds at initiative 5, and 1 attack at leadership 10. And he doesn't have an armor save on foot, but he has a 3+ armor save on a jet bike. So where the Farseer comes into play is the support character nature. So unlike the other character, the Autarch that we've already seen, the Farseer itself is meant to enhance the other units in your army. So he's a level 3 psyker, which is really good for 100 points. If you're Space Marine, you know this, because a Librarian is only level 2, or can only get to level 2. But just for 100 stock points, the amount of gear you get on him, you get rune armor, which is a 4+ invulnerable save, a shuriken pistol, a Witchblade. A Witchblade is a really cool piece of gear. I believe it's Fleshbane, and it has some cool rules against vehicles as well. So I'll just double check that in a second as well. It would be under melee weapons. There we go. Witchblade is melee, armorbane, fleshbane. So 2 dice added together against the tank. Fleshbane always wounds on 2s. or you can also have a witch, the spear one, which is kind of cool. He also has a ghost helm, and he can have a jet bike if he wants, at a very reasonable price. Now, I highly recommend the jet bike. Makes him super fast, adds a toughness, and gives him an armor save. So it's pretty standard in terms of running, a Farseer. Just the Farseer in a jet bike, or on a jet bike. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that, really. Just like the Autarch, you just really can't go wrong with it. And I highly recommend them within the Eldar force because of the cool ability to, take from, demonology, Santic, divination, runes of fate, and telepathy. So some of the favorites for people are divination, runes of fate. Telepathy is pretty cool too. You can kind of get into invisibility, stuff like that. You have divination, which is an all-round great discipline. And then runes of fate, which they changed a bit. The psychic powers that they have for runes of fate are pretty snazzy. I'm not going to lie. Also, the ghost helm is pretty cool. It means that you can expend a warp charge to deny any wounds from perils of the warp, which is pretty cool. And so that means that you can be quite reckless with how many dice you throw at a power. It's very unlikely that you'll die because of it, unless you get sucked into warp, which is always a danger. So special rules: Ancient Doom. They don't like Slaanesh very much. They just have hatred of Slaanesh, and they take fear badly against them. Battle focus, so can run and charge, or charge and run. The Farseer on foot has the fleet. He's also an independent character. And the runes of the Farseer is a special piece of gear. Once in each psychic phase, a model may reroll any number of dice used to deny the witch test or psychic test. That's once in each psychic phase. So you can reroll the dice at any point to recast a power. Or if you really need a deny the witch, you can reroll any number of dice to help deny the witch. Now this is really strong because you can, keep the sixes and just roll the rest of the dice, really increasing your odds to stop a psychic power, which is kind of cool. And of course, you could stop him from getting perils of the warp. Roll 10 dice, 3 sixes show up, so keep 1 6. And then reroll the other 2. Hope for no 6s. That's kind of cool. You can have a singing spear, which that's the upgraded spear instead of a witch blade. And a singing spear changes a little bit. Becomes melee armor bane, flesh bane user. It's pretty much the exact same thing, at least here. But you can shoot it as well. So the singing spear can be thrown. It's a strength 9 flesh bane, 12-inch weapon, so you can kind of throw it against tanks at strength 9, or it's flesh bane, so you can throw it at monstrous creatures or gargantuan creatures, stuff like that. And then of course you can have items of the Remnants of Glory list, which are the relics. So the use and role of the Farseer. Take him stock standard and run him as your HQ or as a secondary HQ, and it's really about the powers. So it's about the different disciplines, and with the discipline you choose for your Farseer, that will decide and determine how you are going to be using your Farseer. So take a look at the different psychic powers that are available from all the different disciplines, from Santic demonology that'll increase invulnerable saves, or to runes of fate, which has everything from doom to guide to eldritch storm, which is a really cool power now. Now, where I really think the Farseer shines is within the new formation of the Seer Council, because within the Seer Council, a Farseer goes from being good to being amazing. And being able to cast on a 3+, and then being able to like pool dice together, it's crazy. Like I might as well kind of, I guess, find it here and go through it. But that Seer Council, the Seer Council, it's 2 Farseers minimum and a Warlock Conclave, which is a minimum of 3 Warlocks, I believe, which I will just double check here. Warlock Conclave, it's like a minimum of, wait a second, it's a minimum of 1 Warlock. Oh, that's pretty cool. That means you don't have to spend a lot anyway. But we'll talk about those later. But it's kind of cool. The Path of the Seer means they can re-roll Warlord traits if they're your chosen, your primary detachment. And their psychic tests get passed on a 3+. Combine that with the runes that they have, where they can re-roll the dice, and you're pretty much getting the power that you want off every single time. The only restriction here is they do need to have 5 models. Okay, that's that there. So you need to have at least a Warlock Conclave of at least 3 models to have 5 models with the 2 Farseers. Okay, well that makes more sense. But that's kind of cool. That means that, the powers will go off almost instantaneously, and the amount of psychic dice you have just get condensed and really used appropriately. So really take a look at the different powers available. Invisibility, anything from divination is really, really good. It's not as good as it was in 6th edition, but in 7th, it's still quite good. And then, of course, all the runes of fate. Now, don't throw them. I don't think they make a good killy character by themselves, but as a part on a jet bike, in a Seer Council, or on jet bikes with witchblades, singing spears, you put the Shard of Anaris in there if you want to make them fearless. They can become a really, really nasty combat unit as well. So that's at that point, then I would really just dive them into the nastier stuff and just go to town, wounding things on 2s and using psychic powers to buff the unit up. It just creates like an ultimate psychic Death Star of Doom. Just beware of the Calexis Assassin, because that thing will annihilate you. Now, as for a Dark Eldar ally, in 6th edition I used Farseers a lot in my allied detachments with my Dark Eldar, because of the psychic ability to help out the Dark Eldar army, guiding venoms and helping models ignore cover, and just doing a whole bunch of different things. And since the new psychic phase, I had taken a step back from the Farseer, so I haven't really used them as much over the more utilitarian Autarch, and I prefer the Autarch personally. But a Farseer makes for a great buffer. The same thing it does for the Eldar army, it will do the exact same thing for a Dark Eldar army. So run a Farseer on a jet bike, run him in a unit of Reaver jet bikes, or just with a big blob of Kabalite warriors, or run him on foot in a big unit of Grotesques, or in a Raider with a bunch of whatever you want, and use his psychic ability. Telepathy is a good one, because it gives you Psychic Shriek, access to invisibility, that sort of thing. You can use Runes of Fate if you're really looking to have more of a toolkit character. Doom enemy units to re-roll wounds against them, especially when you have poison weapons, which is fantastic against things like monstrous creatures or biker lists or anything like that. And just really use that toolkit to your advantage. Just like any Eldar force, he's a very fragile unit one-on-one, but combined and used to the best of his capability, doing what they do best, they just enhance the army so much that if the enemy doesn't deal with them appropriately, that conglomeration of stacking capability just kind of cascades into the enemy army and breaks them through attrition, through subterfuge that they were probably not expecting in the first place. So those are my general thoughts on the Eldar Farseer tactics. Some cool combinations include running them up with Reaver jet bikes and just going and trying to kill stuff, or running them in a unit of Scourge with divination to try and get, ignore cover, or, things like that. So if you've used a Farseer, make sure that you let me know what you think. Have you used them in an Eldar allied contingent, or have you used them in a Craftworld Eldar combined arms detachment? Or is it more of the Seer Council that you lean towards? Down in the description, make sure you leave a comment, get the discussion started. Check out the other videos in the tactical series. Like, share, and subscribe if you really like the content. And that's all for this video. Thanks a lot. Stay tuned for the future videos. And this is Skari, your grateful host, out.